this one's bigger than the first one. So it feels like ages since I've actually created a video for this channel, and that's probably because it has been. It's been about 6 months, but I finally got a little bit of time that I can create a video for you guys. And this is going to be a carp fishing video. I've actually got 3 nights ahead of me, but I'm only going to be fishing days. So I've got 4 days worth of fishing, and obviously 4 days worth of filming for you guys. But I'm only fishing days because this is a bit of a social as well. So you might see behind me is my van, and my partner Amy is with me as well. I think she's going to do a little bit of feeder fishing throughout the time that we're here. But if I spin you around, we've also got Darren there with his motorhome, and then further down there is another motorhome as well, which is Rob from Oak Tree Motorhome. So it's very much a social, but also the fishing is going to be quite important. So like I say, yeah, I've got 4 days ahead of me. Rods are already out, so hopefully we can get a few fish. But if we jump back into my swim, I'll show you exactly what I've done so far to get to the point that we are now. So first things first, you're probably going to want to know exactly where I am. And I'm actually at a lake called Welham Estate Lake. Now this is a exclusive lake booking, which is why we've got it to ourselves. And it's actually about 7 or 8 acres in size, and it's a really old lake. It used to belong to a girls' school, I think, and they used it as a boating lake. Since then, it's been a syndicate, and now the current owner has taken it over. And like I say, it is lake exclusive. But there's a good head of fish in here and a good number of good fish as well, or big fish. So they go up to about 35 pounds, and I think there's about 5 or 6 fish over that 30 pound mark. So there's loads of really good fish to go for. And there's just something nice about having a lake to yourself. You can do what you want, where you want, and you can just fish it your own way, as long as you're sensible, of course, which is a really appealing kind of proposition. You're not fighting against other anglers. You're just competing against the fish and trying to get them bites. But moving on to my swim, my setup, I am probably 2/3 of the way down the lake, and the wind is actually really strong today. It's really pushing down this far end, which is kind of why I came into the swim, because I thought with that wind pushing down, that's going to move the fish down as well. I haven't seen anything yet to go on, but I haven't seen anything anywhere else on the lake either. Now I have been here a few times before, and it's normally quite good for a bite, but it takes a little while to get things going, to build your swim before you start getting the action. So I'm not too concerned about that at all. But when I first got here, I had a good old lead about in this swim, and to be fair, it's very, very silty all over. But there are some patches that are a bit firmer silt than others. Some of it is quite thick silt, whereas the lead in other places kind of glides along a little bit. And that's basically the spot that I'm going to be fishing for the course of these 4 days. So it's about 15 wraps out, so it's not too far. It's a nice comfortable distance, nice and comfortable to bait up and actually get rigs presented well on, even if the wind picks up or anything like that. It's still nice and comfortable. So first thing, I put probably about 15 spoms of boilie out there. I'm using whole boilie, just little 12 millers, so they're quite small boilies, but I like the idea of building a little bit of a bed of bait, because at the end of the day, I'm here for quite a long period of time. So the idea being, the fish will get confident on that spot, start feeding, and then I can top up throughout the session. But where it is a long session, I want to introduce that bait first thing, because I know at some point during the course of these few days, the fish will be coming over me and they will see that bait and hopefully feed on it. And then by a few feeding on it, hopefully that brings more, and then we can create a bit of a feeding response that way. But that's pretty much it so far. Rods have been out for a couple of hours now. Nothing's happened at all yet, but I am very positive about things. The weather's good. I think tomorrow is going to be very, very wet and windy, but after that it should be better again. So just got to take each day as it comes and adapt to the situation. Now we'll just quickly explain what I mean by the fact that I'm fishing 15 wraps. We've got 2 metal sticks in the ground, one there and one over there, and basically they are a rod length apart. So when I'm fishing 15 wraps, that means that I have gone from one stick to the next stick, and that is 1 wrap. So I know that every time when I'm casting back out, my bait is going to be in the same place, because if I've gone 15 wraps back and forwards, then clip it up on the reel, I know that I'm hitting that spot every single time. So it's just a simple way to ensure that you are fishing the same area. There's no guesswork whatsoever, because when you wrap out and when you find a spot, you also pick a far bank marker. So across the bank there is a tree. In this big gap here, there's a tree that's been cut down. So I know basically that whole gap is where I need to be aiming for. So if it does get a bit dark, you're still going to see that gap there, and then I can just cast 15 wraps, or 15.5 wraps I think it is, towards that gap in the tree line, and I know that I'm going to be exactly where I've put all the bait from earlier. So for me, on longer sessions like these ones, the first day is all about prep and putting in the groundwork, so then you have ideally as good a session as possible. And obviously I've already prepped my swim, I've got a good amount of bait out there, and I'm pretty confident in the spot that everything's on. But when you've got a lake exclusive, you've got to make use of the whole lake, haven't you? So what I'm doing, I've got a bag of boilies here and a catapult, and down the complete opposite end of the lake is a really nice bay full of pads, but there is space in between the pads as well. So it's definitely fishable, but I want to prep a few areas down this way. So if it's a bit quiet in my swim, I've always got another option that I can move down to and have the chance of something, and just another option to keep an eye on really. But actually, let me just take you through here. That is part of the bay. I mean, that is pretty stacked with lilies, but there are gaps amongst them, and there is actually a swim just opposite as well. So I'm going to head round to that, see what areas are actually fishable, because I have fished this a few times, and some of it through work, and then we came last year with Darren and Rob and Amy as well. And one of the times that I came down here with work, we did bait up this area, this bay down here, and end up with a couple of fish. And yeah, I mean, like I say, if you've got the whole lake to yourself, you've got to try, haven't you? I mean, how good does that little channel look just through there? So a little bit of bait down there. That's definitely one of the areas to keep an eye on, because there's like I say, a massive set of pads there, and then you've got various little bits in between. So a little bit of bait down there, not putting much in, but just a bit to come back either late this evening or in the morning, just to see if there's any fizzing, any activity. There's actually the core, look at the fizzing through there. I don't know if you can see it on here. That is like a jacuzzi. So the fish are clearly in this area. I'm just going to put a few boilies down in the very corner of this bay as well. I'm not sure how deep it is, because the water is very down. Again, it's worthwhile, because obviously this is the other side of that big bed of pads. So I'm just going to put a few just down there. And there's movement down there as well. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a few little swirls. So I think it's well worth just a couple of handfuls down there. It might even be worth going and grabbing a rod and just having an hour down this way, because there's definitely fish about down here. Right, so we are coming into evening, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the rods in from this swim, and I'm going to spend half an hour on 2 different spots down in the bay where I've just put some bait, in the hope that I can nick one out of there, because there were definitely fish down there. And if it doesn't happen, I'll come back, put the rods out, and we'll have a barbecue. I think that sounds pretty good. So it's not going to be the easiest to get to, but I've seen fish literally down here, and there is a little bit of I guess just silt or something that I can get to. So if I can get myself through quietly, hopefully, then I can get a rod there, and we could be in with a shout. Oh, that's soft. Oh god. Oh, that's very soft and horrible, but I'm here and I can get a rod in, and then we can figure everything else out after that. Let's get us in here. So it's still really shallow there, but it's got to be worth a try, isn't it? Right, the rod is coming in, so let's try not to die getting down here. Okay, we're all good. Been keeping an eye on the other spot that I first saw that fizzing, and there is a little bit more fizzing as well. So I'm going to bring it in from here, move it over there, and hopefully give it half hour there and something will happen. So I said we've seen a little bit of fizzing here, but we've actually seen a fish as well now. Oh, actually, I've got to go there. There's a big old tail pattern just come up between the pads, which is where I put some bait. But we've just actually seen a koi, and I know there's a fish in here called Roy the Koi, which is I think about £31. I don't know if it was that one or if there's any more koi, but it was definitely a koi, and there's a good chance that it could be that one. So let's give it half hour here. Well, I've sat it out probably longer than I should have, and the rod's still out at the moment because there are fish here and there is movement, but it's just not doing a bite. So I think this is definitely an area that I'm going to focus on over the course of these few days, but it is starting to get a little bit darker. The sun's dropping a little bit. So I think I'm going to get back to my main swim, get the rods back out for a couple of hours, also have a bit of food, and try and hopefully nick one before we go to bed, before we reel in, because tomorrow's meant to be very, very wet. So I think it might be a case of just chucking the rods out first thing in the morning and just kind of either sitting in the bivvy, sitting in the van, and just hoping one of them rattles off. But I'm longing this bit out because I'm wanting the rod to go, but it's not going to. So I'm going to reel in now, and then we'll head back to our swim. Well, the rods are back out on the spot. It's just starting to get dark now, but we've got a few hours of them being out. Bait's been out there since about 1 o'clock today, so it's been out there 6-7 hours. I reckon we got a shout. I reckon we can get a fish this evening. Well, this is about the first time I've really been able to get out of the van this morning because the weather has been horrendous all morning. Now, obviously, nothing happened in the end yesterday evening. We had the rods out till about 11 o'clock and it just didn't do anything. I really thought that we could have nicked one on day one, but we didn't. And I got up this morning probably about, I think it's about 8 o'clock. I put the rods out and it's now coming on for about lunchtime and they haven't done anything so far. I've put them back onto the spot that I was fishing yesterday, which is obviously in that little gap, or in line with that little gap that had a bit of bait over. I haven't put any more bait out because I haven't caught anything. So there's no need to put more bait out. They might have fed there overnight, I'm not sure. But even so, they're not going to have cleared everything out that I put out yesterday. So I thought I'd put the rod straight back on it in the hope that next to no disturbance, minimal disturbance, and yeah, hopefully one will rattle off. But the weather has cleared up a bit now. It's looking a lot better and the sun's a little bit, or starting to come out, the light's a little bit brighter. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time surface fishing, I think. I have had a very quick wander down the far end, which is where all the pads were, where I tried doing a bit of stalking yesterday, and there are fish down there still. So I'm going to go down there, put a few floaters out, because I've seen fish on the surface. It's not just signs of fish, I've seen actual fish. So I'm going to put a few floaters out and then try and nick one off the top. I've just got round here and Amy actually got here before me and she's been feeding the fish for me and they are taking. So might as well get right up straight away and give it a go. Well, this has been super frustrating. I must have been down here for a couple of hours at least, I would have thought. And I did get one take and I struck into it. I felt it for a split second and then it bolted off. And that was about the biggest or closest chance that I've had. And unfortunately, it is starting to chuck it down. It's looking super moody. So I think that is surface fishing done for the day. Go back to our proper swim, get the rods back out, and yeah, probably huddle away until this rain passes. Rods back out, but I am doing things slightly differently. So my left rod, I've put at the spot that I put all the bait in yesterday, and my right rod, I've actually put against the far bank. Over the course of the last couple of days, I have seen a couple of fish show on that bank and little bits of fizzing and things like that. So I've put that over there and I've actually wandered around and put a little bit of bait in the edge as well. So thought I'd try something different just to, well, try and get a fish on the bank really. If this doesn't pay off, then again, over the next couple of days, it's going to be a lot more stalking. There is another end which is full of pads as well, down the opposite end to where I've actually been spending a bit of time. So that's well worth looking at as well. And I think I might go for a little wander later this evening, see if there's anything down there and put a little bit of bait in as well, because we've still got 2 full days ahead of us. So there's still every chance that we can get a fish or 2 on the bank. But I might not be catching fish, but Amy has been catching loads. She's been using a little feeder rod, just doing a bit of maggot feeder fishing. She's been catching loads of roach and rod and bits and pieces like that. So at least someone's been catching fish. Oh, it's a perch. Is he still on?
No!
Oh no! I'm starting to feel like I might have ADHD because I cannot seem to stay in one place, but there's nothing happening in my swim. Rod's been out for a little while again, so I'm going to bring him back in and then go back down the other end where we were surface fishing earlier, because they were definitely still fizzing up down that end as well. Amy's since been back down there, put a little bit of bait out for me, so it'd be rude not to give it another go, wouldn't it? So let's bring him in and then head down that way. Right, so there's no excuse this time. I am taking 2 different rods. I'm taking one for the bottom and I'm taking the surface rod as well. So I can get the bottom one out, probably in a similar position to where we put it last night, because there was definitely fizzing over that spot. It just didn't happen. So get the bottom one out and then we can ping a few floaters out and try and get one off the top as well. Right, so I'm going to put it out in the same place as yesterday, because then that way that leaves this whole area open to do a little bit of surface fishing. So fingers crossed, one of the methods will work. Another super frustrating evening. The fish are showing, the fish are taking a few, but not many. But they're definitely not taking a hook bait, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to reel in, head back to my swim, and then get the rods back out. Nothing on the bottom either, but I think tomorrow I might come down here for the day, spend the day here, put a couple of rods out on the bottom, but also have the surface fishing rod with me as well. So then if anything does show, then we can give it a little go. Back to my swim. Good morning and welcome to day 3. So I've pushed myself to get up nice and early. It's bang on 7 o'clock now. I kept checking the weather yesterday, and for the first few hours of today it's meant to be bright sunshine, which is always good when it comes to surface fishing. So I thought I'd push myself, get down the other side of the lake where I've been trying to get them off the top, because I thought we've got a good chance this morning. It's always good first thing in the morning doing a bit of surface fishing, and then with it being nice and sunny as well, there's always a chance. So I've got my rod, got my bucket, and I'm going to go and try and get them feeding on the top, and hopefully it will pay off. If not, then I'll go back to my swim, put the rods out, and get myself a little bit sorted, a bit more organised. But the nice thing about this place, there's a little cabin here, and basically if I come through here, there's access to the section that I've been fishing. So you can see all the pads through here. So what I can do, I can ping a load of surface baits out from here whilst I go and make myself a coffee, get myself going, and then I can keep an eye on them from here, and then take myself round to the point which is opposite, and hopefully by that point some of the fish will be taken off the surface. I can cast a rod out, catch one nice and easily, and go back to bed. Scrap that, there's no coffee. So I've been here for about half an hour now, and I've been just catapulting out every so often, just until the baits have drifted away, and then I'll put a few fresh ones out in a few different areas, that sort of thing. And I haven't seen one carp come up and take one yet, which is a bit frustrating. So I'm going to give it another half hour of still doing the same, keeping an eye on the water, just keep trickling the baits out. If it doesn't happen, then there's no point in me being here. I haven't cast out because there's nothing to cast out onto. So yes, give it another half hour. If not, I head back to my swim, put them back out over where I've been putting the bait in since I've been here. And then at least they're out nice and early on that spot, so there's always a chance there. But it's proven to be quite difficult, this session. I think it's all about persevering, keep trying different methods, and hopefully something will come good. I've still got all of today, and I've got the best part of tomorrow as well. And the fish are in here, I know that. And there are some good fish to to be had as well. So it's got to keep pushing, I think. Well, back to my swim it is then. I didn't see any sign of fish whatsoever. There was no pads moving where the fish are moving through, nothing. So I'm going to go and chuck my rods out and hopefully something will happen that way. But I've left all the surface kit around there. That's the nice thing about having a lake exclusive. It's all locked in, and then I could just pop down later on if I fancy another go without having to lug everything about. Well, even if the carp aren't playing ball at the moment, might as well just get the feeder out for a little bit, haven't I? I thought I'd just give you a quick update because time is getting on today. It's about 3 o'clock already and the rods have been out from just after 8. And to be honest, nothing has happened whatsoever. It's very, very windy. The weather's not great at all. So I've just kind of persevered a little bit. We have done a little bit of feeder fishing, but again, we've had a few bits and pieces, but nothing major. So the fact nothing's happened, I am now going to move the rods onto the spot that we baited earlier on this morning, where I've been doing the floater fishing. But I'm actually going to put them on the bottom down there because there was definitely fish down there. There has been the whole time that we've been here, and the fact that it's had bait in there and we haven't actually fished really on the bottom that much probably makes sense to give it a little go. I feel like we are trying for one fish now. Turning up, I thought we could have a few, but now it literally is just about saving that blank and net. So I'm going to bring these ones in, and I'm actually going to take both rods down there and put them on a couple of different areas and probably spend a few hours down there this time. So fingers crossed. Nice, right in the pads. Come on. Come on. Come on. So shallow there. No, it's all right, he's in. Well, there you go. I think we deserve this one. It feels like it's been a lot of work, a lot of graft, and a lot of baiting up, a lot of different swims, but it finally all came good. And within about literally like 4 minutes of the rod being out, it then tore off. It's definitely not the biggest in here. It's probably 14, 15 pound, mid-double, but it is very good to be off the mark eventually. And I've got to give some credit to Amy for baiting up as well, because she's done so many trips down here, helping me out. So yeah, awesome. Let's slip it back. I reckon we've got a chance for another one as well. Well, I thought I might have nicked a second one quite soon after having that one, but we've probably sat out for about an hour and a half since having the fish, and it hasn't happened. So I think it's time to reel in. It's getting quite cold. This is not summer. This was meant to be a nice little summer trip out, and it's not that. So I'm going to reel them in, take them back over the other side of the lake to my swim, get them back out there, and then sort of a bit of food for the evening, I think. As we were walking back to my swim, Amy was just ahead of me, and she said that she'd seen a fish show just out in this swim. So I thought it's probably worth half hour. She said it was quite a big one. So the rods are out, they're literally just on the deck there. Pinged out a couple of baits, just in case anything happens. Give it half hour. If not, then back to my swim and put the rods back out for the evening. The rods were out for about 20 minutes, and the weirdest thing happened. I literally stood up and I was about to start reeling them in when the clutch just started ticking. So yeah, picked up into it, and I think this one's bigger than the first one. So right result. Let's get him out and have a look. What's it saying? Bang on 23, isn't it? Nice. Well, there we go. A fish that I wouldn't have caught if Amy didn't see it show, because I wouldn't have cast out there. I'd been back in my swim and probably not caught anything for the rest of this evening. But it is definitely bigger than the first one. 23 pound bang on, and it was well worth weighing. Proper cool one, really dumpy little common. But yeah, he's a bit angry, so I think we're getting back before he slaps me in the face. But yeah, what a cool fish. Well, day 3 definitely went to plan, and I did put the rods out as soon as I got back to swim after having that second fish, but nothing happened, unfortunately, from my actual swim. But something else did happen. Darren finally got off the mark as well, and he had an 18-pound common just coming into darkness, so we got a few clips of that, so it's really nice that he's caught as well. So everyone's doing all right. It's almost like day 3 was the day that everything changed and things started coming together, fish started moving on to baited spots, and yeah, it was really good. But you might have noticed the background is a little bit different, and that is because we've actually moved down to the lodge end for day 4, our final day. And basically this gives us the opportunity to fish the other side of the pads that I keep going around stalking or floater fishing. This is the entrance and exit to those pads, which I did put some bait in yesterday, scattered a load of boilies around just with a catapult in the hope that they do get onto it, and yeah, we can have maybe a quick bite or two this morning before heading off. Now we've probably got until mid-afternoon, I reckon, before we do go. Rods are out, it's about 9 o'clock now, but look how good this swim looks. How good does that look? So yeah, obviously this is the whole bay that's got all the pads in it. You might see around here somewhere there's a big circle, and that is basically where I had that fish yesterday, from the middle of the pads. So yeah, hopefully, I mean, when I hooked that fish in the pads, there must have been 4 or 5 different fish that all kind of bolted at the same time. There were swirls everywhere. So they do use that area. They're definitely enjoying being amongst the pads, especially in this hotter weather as well. So I'm hoping that if we're going to have a bite during the day, we're in a very good position here. But even if it doesn't happen, we saved the lake yesterday, a couple of cool fish. Really cool fish, especially that second one, proper dumpy common. Now I've been here a few times before, I think I said earlier in the video, and a couple of people that I've been filming have ended up with them commons. They're all around, yeah, low 20s, but I've always seen them, thought they're really cool fish because they're just a different shape, aren't they? So I've always wanted one for myself, and yeah, luckily this session has all come good, and I've ended up with one. But like I say, there is still time for more. And there's plenty more in here to go at, so you never know. I can't say I've actually done that much filming for day 4, and if I'm completely honest, I haven't done that much fishing. The rods are still out, and it is literally about 5 o'clock now, so it's pretty much time to reel in. But yeah, I haven't really filmed anything. I haven't even touched the rods because I know they're in a good area. There's no reason to touch them. I haven't spent any time going around stalking or anything like that because we've had a bit of a barbecue, cooking up a load of wings, things like that. So as it was the last day, we just had a bit of a social with Darren, and unfortunately the fishing has taken a bit of a back step, or a bit of a back seat, but I'm happy. I've had a couple of fish, Darren's had one as well, and considering how tough it has been to actually get any fish, I am content with what's happened. We've managed to have some good times kind of chilling out together as well, so it's been a really good few days. But yeah, that's kind of it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, because it is a little bit different to what's been on this channel so far, as I think this is the first kind of proper carp video that we've done that hasn't been on a bit of a day ticket runs water. So I've really enjoyed doing it. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it, and if you have, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you want to see more of this sort of style of fishing, or if you're done with carp. I mean, if you've got this far, you've probably enjoyed it, I'd like to think. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in a future video.